let's just say that the winner shall be a certain team from a certain Midwestern town that starts with a C, ends with an O, and in the middle is Hikag. A team that is known as the Bears.
The Bears.
We're fired up. We're fired up about this.
Who are the guys that are the best in the world and make the rest of the team look like a gaggle of girls? The Bears!
I don't go to church, and I know God understands. I can stay on my couch because God is a fan of the Bears.
They are as strong as a legion of heroes. When the Super Bowl comes, they'll win 100-0. The Bears! They are the Bears, and we are the fans. And when the Super Bowl's done, we're going to Dickland. The Bears! The Bears!
It gets real now, dog. It gets real now. It gets real now.
One more! And another! Oh, that feels good! You guys, the way you handle every week, to me, is just absolutely amazing. It's special, man, and you guys do it every single week. Every week's different, and you guys handle it, and you grow together. We do it together, everybody, man. It's the best, and it feels so good. But now it gets real, baby. Now it gets real. 9-4! Y'all know how we rocking Bears on 3, 1, 2. We know how.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bears Fan Cave podcast. The first game of the postseason, the Wild Card edition against the Philadelphia Eagles. Prime time, 4:20 my time, Eastern Standard Time. So it's going to be our first prime time game on NBC since the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy to think about. But we're going to be talking about that game today. I'm joined by Jesse again from Chicago Bears 24/7 on YouTube. How are you doing today, Jesse?
Great, man. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me back again. I appreciate it.
Great, man. Thanks for being on. But let's get right into it. Since you're a little limited for time today, let's just get right into this. So let's talk about, starting last year, the Eagles came in and beat us 31-3, we went to Philly and lost that game 31-3. Mitch Trubisky had a horrible game. He had a 38.3 passer rating, which equated to a 0.3 QBR, which is pretty crazy to think about, considering he had the third highest QBR this season in the NFL. But I don't really look at QBR as a real stat. It's a lot of bullshit to me, in my opinion, made up by ESPN. But that was definitely a horrible game from Trubisky. The only comparable game to we can compare from this year to that game is the Rams game, and he didn't even play that bad in that game with the 3 picks. So, I mean, the Eagles are a different team. They played us with Carson Wentz then, who is a lot more mobile than Nick Foles is. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but he had that one crazy play where he faked out Crayvon LeBlanc in a sort of a spin move.
Which is funny because now Crayvon LeBlanc plays for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's one of their best guys right now. Who's hurt? I think, who was it? Sidney Jones, I'm pretty sure, might not be able to go on Sunday with the hamstring injury. Right now, he's on the did not participate list for their practice from today. But yeah, I mean that was a pretty horrible game last year when they beat us 31-3. Do you remember that game at all? Do you have anything to say about that game from last year?
Not really. I actually was looking up trying to look up the. I was just looking at when it was during the year. That's what I was trying to find out. Like right now, I saw it was like in November, right? So. I already don't have much to say about it because I just went back, and the only film I looked back from like last year, I looked at the Oakland Raiders matchup versus the Eagles because I saw a lot of people on social media really hyping up the job that Lane Johnson did against Khalil Mack. So I got quite a bit to say about that. But as far as that Bears game, all I can say is, hey man, that was a totally different Bears team. You have to consider that our starting wide receivers for that game aren't even in the league now, and then like our like number 2 or number 3 wide receiver or what, I don't even know, but like Jay Bellamy, what's Josh Bellamy now? What's his he's like our 4th receiver option. He's like the only holdover. So if you want to really compare, there's really no comparison because the talent level on the Bears offensively is completely different than what it was last year. Plus the offensive scheme and the coaching staff, it's just 2 different teams. You really just can't even compare about them, and that's why the Bears are 12-4 now versus 5-11. Is it because the team has been completely upgraded? So any Bears fan or Eagles fan who's trying to hold their hat on that game right there, you shouldn't do that because the Bears team is completely different from then.
Yeah, definitely. I think only one of the receivers we had last year is still in the league. Dontrell Inman, he's still on the Colts.
Yeah, we got him like halfway.
Yeah, for a 7th round pick.
Yeah, so I mean, you got, man, it's a totally different ball game here as far as the level of skill that we have and talent.
Yeah, and then John Fox, he didn't know how to use Tariq Cohen at all.
No.
The only real difference was Jordan Howard was more of a factor, but I mean they had Daniel Brown and Adam Shaheen at tight end, which is different from Shaheen and now Trey Burton. Trey Burton's huge in our passing game, and the starting receivers from that game were Dontrell Inman, Trey McBride, and Kendall Wright. So huge upgrades all across the board. Even on defense, we had Christian Jones and Nick Kwiatkowski playing in that game. I don't think Danny Trevathan played that game. I'm pretty sure he was hurt.
Yeah, so even that is just a huge difference. Like you can't even compare the teams. If anything, you have to say the Bears are way better and the Eagles are a lot worse than what they were then, based on their injuries and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. The Eagles have lost some big players through free agency and injuries. But I mean, yeah, this is going to be a completely different game, especially with Nick Foles being in the game. I saw a stat today. I didn't save it, unfortunately, but it was showing that Nick Foles is actually the quarterback who can't throw to his left.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, Trubisky's greatly improved from throwing to his left. If anyone had any doubts about him. I mean, I saw some guy on Twitter all week tweeting about the Bears defense from the Miami game from 100-degree heat. He was just posting clips of us getting beaten by, what the fuck's his name? I'm blanking out on his name. Their wide receiver.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
The guy from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is we've definitely evolved from whatever week that was, week 6 or something. So we've gotten a lot better.
You got to think about all the games that the Bears have done like poorly have been on the road, and the only game that the Bears have played poorly at home is against the Patriots. So as far and part of that is because of the defensive scheme that we ran. As far as like drop 8 in the coverage and just rush 3 against Tom Brady. That's my biggest knock on Vic Fangio for that game is that he tried a game plan that wasn't actually very good. But we're playing at home. I don't expect to see that type of performance from the Bears. If anything, you're gonna get a performance of like what they did on the road against Minnesota last week, which is completely dominate. Maybe the Bears don't completely dominate this game, but they're not going to play a bad game. I'm pretty sure of that. They're going to be ready for this, and they're going to be emotionally ready and invested in this game. So I don't know. That Miami game, hey, it was on the road and it was hot. This is a totally different situation.
Yeah, especially since I think the last 2 games of the season on the road showed great improvement from us. We beat the 49ers, who were, if you want to say they were hot at the end of the season when they had that little 2-game win streak, and they also beat the Seahawks in that. And then we knocked out the Vikings in the last game of the season. We completely shut them down. So I mean that Vikings game. I mean, if we play like that in the postseason, with Trubisky playing a lot better than that, I mean he's not going to play a lot. Really, the Vikings statistically are the best defense in the NFL when they're playing at home. So Trubisky played a really tough defense, and he didn't have. I didn't really see any mistakes, to be honest. I think I saw one where he overthrew Trey Burton. But later in the game, he had that same look on a 3rd down and 7 conversion in the fourth quarter on that I think it was a 16-play drive, and he converted it to Trey Burton in crunch time, so to put the game away. So he's definitely growing.
Well, I saw a great stat, for Trubisky in that game that they had. And I put it in my video that Minnesota blitzed on about 1/3 of the pass plays for the Bears, and Trubisky was 7 for 10 for 108 yards with a 105 passer rating on those blitzes, with Jordan Howard staying in the block on all 10 of those times and never missing a block. So, I mean, to me, that right there is like blows you away, because not only is the line protecting, but we're picking up the blitz with the running back. And Trubisky's delivering strikes. I mean, 70% completion rate. That means he's reading the defense. He's getting the ball out to where it needs to be. And, man, I saw some darts that he threw in that Minnesota game. So I was really impressed in that Minnesota game, because I actually picked the Vikings to win that game. And I got a lot of hell from it. But I just figured, man, everything was in the Vikings' favor. And the Bears haven't been playing all that great on the road. So I just kind of figured, well, the Vikings have everything to play for. The Bears not so much. But the Bears came out with the mindset like, hey, we're going to win this game. It's a division game. It doesn't matter. We're here to play to win. And I love that, man, from Matt Nagy. Man, he has really just changed the whole mindset and culture of the Bears from what it was the past few years. So, I mean, I was blown away by that.
Yeah, I think that scoreline was the closest I got all season from doing score predictions. I had it 27-10 for the Bears, so that was the closest I'll get probably. But I mean, since we have limited time, let's just talk about that. I didn't really get to see a lot of it. I did watch some of it, but what you were talking about earlier when the Raiders played the Eagles, and Khalil Mack, he was limited to no sacks, but he did have 2 holding calls on him against the guy who was talking crap after the game. But since you wanted to talk about it, let's get right into it. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, props to the Eagles. Eagles' offensive line is good. There's no doubt about that. They're really good. But Khalil Mack was lined up only on the right side against Lane Johnson for the whole entire game. That's where he faced them. And I want to give the matchup kind of like a draw. It was really like a 50-50 thing. It wasn't that they really – I mean, he shut Khalil Mack down in some ways, but Khalil Mack did some other things too. So, for example, the holding calls. There's a play where he completely bull rushed Lane Johnson into the quarterback, and then Nick Foles escapes, and then they get a holding call on Khalil Mack because Khalil Mack probably would have got him right there. Lane Johnson had to hold him. And then I also see that Lane Johnson, if you look at I posted on my video, he has this really, really huge first step back into his pass blocking stance on these third down plays. Now, another thing about that Oakland game was Oakland only put Philadelphia in third and more than 6 3 times in the whole game. So every single time that they had the ball on third down, man, it was 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. It was so favorable for the offense that they really couldn't tee off on the quarterback. So I don't expect that to be the case in Chicago. I don't think the Eagles are going to move the ball and have that kind of short yardage situations where we can't really get after the quarterback. On the times that it was 3rd and 7 or maybe 3rd and 11 or whatnot, the Raiders were able to put some pressure on Nick Foles, and what I've seen from him under pressure is he's not all that great. He gets kind of panicky in the pocket, and even in the last 3 games, I went back and watched all the 3 games that he's started in these last 3 games, and he can make some really poor decisions. He's thrown an interception in every single game. these last 3 games. And when on these screenplays that they like to run a lot, he'll just try to force the ball into the running back, even if it's not a good decision. Like instead of just grounding it, he'll just try to throw it in there. And there's been some times that he's got away with it, and it could have been pick 6 for the other way. But that Oakland Raiders matchup, I can just say that it was more like a draw. But I felt that what the Bears are going to be able to do more than anything is by putting Leonard Floyd on the side of Lane Johnson, because Lane Johnson takes that really large step back on 3rd downs. And I feel that kind of suits what Leonard Floyd can do. So Leonard Floyd's a speed rusher, so I feel like he can set up Lane Johnson on the outside and do one of his only 3 moves that he has, the spin move to get back on the inside to get at the quarterback. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to work every time, because Lane Johnson is really actually pretty good right tackle. There's no doubt about that. But I think he can do enough damage that it'll start when you look at the whole scheme of the whole line for the Bears and the pass rush, that it's going to be more of a problem than it will be like a neutralization. So I think the matchup for the Bears going into this game on the defensive line for the offensive line, I think it really favors the Bears as far as that. But that all is predicated on if the Bears can shut down the run, and the Eagles have been running the ball really well lately. So that's what I think about that. I mean, I think it was more of a draw. It wasn't no shutdown by Lane Johnson. And when you look at he was favored by having these 3rd down and short situations, not these 3rd and long ones. And 3rd and long, the Raiders were able to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, let me see. I'm just trying to find. Oh, okay. So the Eagles' offensive coordinator, Mike Ross, said on Tuesday that this about Khalil Mack. He said they'll move him around. He'll be on the right, the left, and inside. They'll do a lot of different things with him. Obviously, he's an elite pass rusher. We faced a few of those guys this year. He's certainly excellent. But last time they played, as you said, Khalil Mack was mostly lined up on the left side for 92% of the game. And he only went to the right side just 8%. So here's a good stat to compare that to this year. Mack has rushed from the left side 227 times this year and 214 times from the right side.
There we go. Yep.
So he has 30 hurries from the left side, and then he has 30 hurries with 8 sacks from the left side, and then 5 sacks with 19 hurries from the right side. So with Leonard Floyd, they're able to switch him up, especially with Hakeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman. He's able to even go inside on some plays when we're in a base defense. So it's really interesting to see what Fangio is going to be able to plan up for Khalil Mack to be more effective. I think he's going to be more effective than we've seen him all season, even that first game of the season. I think this is where Khalil Mack's going to come out and show that we really were right paying him all that money.
I agree, man. I don't expect the Eagles to shut him down. Like, his line is not going to say 2 tackles and 0 sacks or nothing. He's going to get some sacks, and he's going to do some things in this game, because the way Vic Fangio is using him, man, it's just going to be so hard for the Eagles to go every single down and account for him. I mean, even in that last game against Oakland, they were using a running back and a tight end to try to chip him sometimes. And when he sees that, like it was one clip I put there, the running back's there to chip him. Instead of going out wide, he tried to set Lane Johnson up out wide and then cut inside because he's trying to avoid that double team. So I don't know. What I've seen from Khalil Mack this year is that he's an elite talent, and if you're not accounting for him, you're in trouble. And if you are accounting for him, then you're opening up other things for the other defenders, and even like blitzes about Roquan Smith and stuff like that. So it's going to be good, man. I'm so excited to see this matchup. It's going to be good because I think the Eagles have a really good line, but I know the Bears have a really good defensive line too. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and the Eagles do have Jason Kelce was injured, but he fully participated in practice today, and then Jason Peters, he was limited in practice today. So their offensive line is a little banged up. So it's going to be an interesting matchup either way. But moving on from that, I mean, I don't know if you tried to watch this game. I think this was the most interesting game to watch from last year, out of the Eagles game and the Raiders against the Eagles. For me to watch was the Chiefs playoff game against the Titans, where Bears fans were really questioning Matt Nagy when we first hired him. Because they blew that 21, I think it was 21 to 3-point lead. Well, really, honestly, from Matt Nagy's standpoint, it was really a 21 to 10-point lead because the Titans got the ball to start the second half, and they had a 15-play, 91-yard drive to score a touchdown to open up the second half. And then, who was their kicker last year? Butker, he missed a 48-yard field goal to put the Chiefs up. Let me see. Yeah, it would have been 24 to 10 Chiefs, but he missed that field goal. So really, there's that, and the Chiefs' defense really allowed 3 touchdown drives in a row to for that second half, and then the kneel down. So they scored 3 touchdowns out of 4 drives. Well, 3 for 3 if you don't include the kneel down drive. But I mean, really, that game was on the Chiefs' defense, and also the fact that Kelsey was injured towards the end of the second quarter. His backup came in, and in the second half on 3rd and 2, he dropped a key 3rd down conversion. He would have had the first down, but he dropped it. So there was a lot of factors that did not go Nagy's way, but I definitely would not blame him. A lot of fans said that he needs to keep his foot on the gas when we're up. That is true. He didn't do that, he did keep his foot on the gas in that game, but it did not work out due to unfortunate circumstances. So
the players have got to make plays no matter what. That's the thing. No matter what the play call is, the player has to make plays. So if you're 3rd down and 2 and you drop the pass, you can't be on the play caller. You know, you were open, you dropped it. So players got to take accountability for that too. But I can see where, what people, how it looks. I can see how it looks. And it's hard too. When you jump out to a 21-point lead, like in the first quarter and a half, it's hard to keep that going anyway. Most teams don't jump out to a 21-point lead and then second half they have 21 point more and have a 42-point game. That usually doesn't happen. So you get one half where you shine, and then teams make adjustments. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really blame Nagy for that game, but definitely I think that game had some learning experience for him, as he said in his opening press conference. His first press conference since that game when we introduced him as our head coach. So he said it was definitely a learning point. But do you want to say anything about those games from last year before we really get into the details?
No, just that, like you said, it's a learning thing, and it's something that I think he knows about it. It's been talked about. It's in his mind. He hasn't forgotten it. And I think just seeing that Minnesota game right there, what he did in the Minnesota game and how he called that game, he never let up, and he didn't rest the starters, and he didn't do all this thing. And even when the backups were in there, they were playing inspired football. So I'm not worried about it, man. The one thing I'm worried about the Bears, if there's anything that I can worry about, it's going to be the special teams, the kicking game. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm not worried about the defense. I'm worried about if it gets close and we have to kick the ball, can we do it? That's my only worry.
Yeah, I sent you that picture a few days ago of that Cody Parkey Photoshop. Since I'll be able to post this video on YouTube, I'll put that in there as well in this clip. But yeah, I mean, Cody Parkey's been practicing at Soldier Field. I mean, they didn't bring the chopper out, unfortunately, this time to make sure he was actually practicing. But I mean, damn, he hit another upright. That was this week, right? Against the 49ers, he just fucking missed it. Yeah, against the 49ers, he just completely missed it. But, I mean, in controlled environment on an extra point, I mean, that's not really something we want to see, but it's gonna be interesting if the game would come down to Cody Parkey. I think Soldier Field would be louder than it has been all year if he had to kick the game winner. But I mean, other than that, one matchup I really want to talk about is Tariq Cohen against the Eagles linebackers. I mean, Tariq Cohen, let me pull up his stats real quick. So Tariq Cohen, he is first in the NFL for yards per route run, which is his 2.37 yards per route run. And then passer rating when targeted, he's 10th in the NFL with 111 passer rating. So he's going to be going up against Nigel Brandon, who's usually targeted whenever teams play the Eagles, and he is pretty horrible when it comes to really just playing in general, but especially in coverage grade. He's 29th in the NFL. He's 41st in the NFL when he's targeted. His passer rating when targeted is 107. So, I mean, that's really a matchup that I think Matt Nagy is going to expose. Possibly even getting Trey Burton on him. That's going to be something interesting to watch. But he also goes the other way for the Bears defense. We'll talk about that a little later. But, I mean, Tariq Cohen against the Eagles linebackers is going to be very interesting to watch. And then, I mean, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, and Anthony Miller. Crayvon LeBlanc, he really played in the slot for us. I don't know where he's really playing for the Eagles right now. Probably outside with all the injuries they've had.
No, he's actually playing slot too. I saw him in the Houston game playing slot. Yeah.
All right.
And, the only thing I can remember about Crayvon LeBlanc, I wanted to put it in my video, was like, but I was already running so late on that. I didn't cut it out. But just that play last year against Jordy Nelson, we're trying to win the game, and it's like, Jordy Nelson's like 5 yards deep on him for the huge play, and then the Packers kick the field goal to win the game. I'm like, come on, man. Like, the guy has no speed, but he's good for the slot and the short quickness area. He's good at that, but like, if you get him running a vertical route and you got somebody up with him with some speed on him, it's over.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jordy Nelson's not even a burner, but he smoked him, So I mean, come on.
Yeah. But let me see. I mean, Crayvon LeBlanc against Anthony Miller, or even if we are able to get Taylor Gabriel against him, that would be an interesting one. Speed against speed. But I think Taylor Gabriel might be the interesting one to watch to burn people with speed. Sidney Jones coming off that hamstring injury if he does play. I mean, the hamstring injury where you're missing practice into Friday. I mean, he might be limited in practice tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on that to see how he comes along. But I mean, if he plays on Sunday, I think he's gonna have a rough matchup with Taylor Gabriel. We saw Gabriel with that huge 49-yard bomb where he got behind the Vikings defense. So
that was nice, man.
Yeah. That was a really nice play. So I think Matt Nagy will be looking for that also. But what do you look at when you see our offense against the Eagles?
Well, to me, it's the secondary, completely the secondary, and mostly the corners, because for their corners, they got two corners in there. One's a second-year corner, and one's a first-year, a rookie corner. So the rookie corner is Avonte Maddox, right? He's only 5'9". But the guy's got a lot of speed, right? He ran in the draft. He ran a 4.39, or in the combine. So he ran a 4.39. The guy's got a lot of speed, but he's only 5'9". So anytime he's going to be matched up against Allen Robinson, which is what I would try to exploit, I would try to put a big body on him and just let him box him out, like just play basketball with him. I think that's a matchup that favors the Bears. And then on their other side, they got Rasul Douglas as their starting cornerback, and he's a second-year guy. Now he's like 6'2.5", 6'3". He's kind of a big dude, more physical type cornerback. But he only ran a 4.6 out of the combine. So I would love to see Taylor Gabriel matched up against him, running some vertical routes. and I would like to see Allen Robinson matched up against Avante Maddox. And I've already looking at the passing defense for the Eagles. It's not very good. I think they only have like 10 interceptions on the year. They're in the bottom half statistically on everything that's concerned with the secondary. So for me, the matchup is just about exploiting those two cornerbacks in whatever way. If they want to shade over safety help to them, then Trey Burton's going to have a big game because, like you said, the linebackers and the safeties are susceptible too. So it's going to be, I want to see how the Bears are going to match up and how they're going to try to exploit that matchup right there. I don't think those two players there can do anything to stop the Bears receivers. I don't. What I think the biggest thing for the Bears to do is if they can keep Trubisky clean in the pocket, he'll kill him. But if they start putting a lot of pressure on Trubisky and keeping him in the pocket and stuff like that, then it might be a different story. I think that Philadelphia will probably be able to shut down the run. In their past 3 games, they're only giving up like 1.2 yards per carry, and that's not counting quarterback runs like by Deshaun Watson, who had like a lot of yards. So, if they want to play man-to-man, then I think Trubisky obviously can run the ball. But man, I just feel like that secondary is really weak. And if the Eagles can't put pressure on Trubisky, he's going to air him out, man. And I think that everybody keeps talking about who's going to have the coming out party. Well, this matchup favors Trubisky and the Bears receivers. And he might have a big game. And this might be his coming out party here that everybody keeps talking about, like what quarterback's going to have their coming out party. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitch doesn't have a great game against the Eagles. He should. He really should.
Yeah, I did like Rasul Douglas coming out of college from West Virginia. I had him in one of my mock drafts I did for the Bears. I think he's played pretty well these last few weeks. Who was it? Fletcher Cox challenged him to play better, and the team's been kind of hyping him up to play a little better. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you watched I think it was Thanksgiving. It might have been. I don't remember which game this was, but it was when Amari Cooper had over 200 yards, and he had
killed the Eagles, man.
Yeah, he had the game-winning touchdown where I think it bounced off of Rasul Douglas's hands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the end of the game in overtime. I'm pretty sure that was on Rasul Douglas. But Amari Cooper had 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards in that game. Ezekiel Elliott had. Let me see if I can.
I think he was like 28 for 120, right? He had like a huge game.
Yeah, he had 28 for 113. So I think Jordan Howard. We saw him play last week. I think they've been saving him for maybe the playoffs because, I mean that was a playoff game last week. Playoff atmosphere in Minnesota. They knew what was up for stakes. So that's another reason why all the starters play to get them used to that playoff experience.
It's interesting you bring that up because I really feel like if the Bears can run the ball against Philadelphia, like I'm just saying they're not going to, right? Like they're not going to be able to. But if they are able to run the ball, Eagles have 0 chance to win this game just because like their secondary is so bad. I don't even know how they're going to like try to defend the run with 7 if they're not going to be able to do it. They're going to have to put another man in the box if the Bears are successful. And Kyle Long had one hell of a half against Minnesota, and Minnesota's defensive line is pretty damn good. So if the Bears come out and they're running the ball like that, this game is over.
Yeah, we've been saying for a few weeks now that we can't wait for Kyle Long to get back and get Witzman the hell out of there because
that's for sure.
Witzman fucking sucks. Oh, my
God. Man. I was so glad to see him out of there. Like, I never saw Kyle Long pushed in the backfield ever. The whole game. He was either even or winning every single matchup. Like, Witzman, I saw so many damn times where he was 2 or 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage because he was getting pushed back, and then Jordan Howard's running into him, and it was just bad, And now, like, the first play from scrimmage, you see Jordan Howard is at the line of scrimmage with a pocket around him, and there's not one defender within 3 yards, and he gets a 7-yard carry. Every time Jordan Howard was getting any kind of good carries, he was making the holes himself. Now there was, like, huge holes, and I was like, man, I was happy to see that. I was just like, wow, if that's what's going to come, man, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think on that big, I'm pretty sure this was a play where Jordan Howard had that huge run. I think Kyle Long turned around Sheldon Richardson. So so he was turning people around. He didn't look like he missed a step with
know.
that injury.
He looked really good, man.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have him back. Our interior line is very solid with Daniels, Whitehair, and Long now. Our whole offensive line is solid now with Long back in it. So that's going to be really interesting if the Bears can get the run to get going. Then it's going to be hard to stop.
I think so.
The Bears offense in general. I think the biggest matchup to watch out for is Cohen and Burton against those linebackers, though, because that's the middle of the field is where we can really expose them. But do you have anything else to say about the offense before we move on to our defense?
No, I think I've highlighted what I think is going to happen. But yeah, let's go to the defense.
Yeah, so Zach Ertz, he broke the NFL record for receptions by a tight end this year. He's really been exposing teams more from some of the Eagles games I've seen. He's been exposing in zone defenses. He's been able to find parts of the field to get open in. Really, the middle of the field. That's another place to watch out for on both sides of the ball for the Bears. So I'd really like to see him match up against Roquan Smith. Even when Eddie Jackson's healthy, he's going to be coming in and helping out. Man, I can see a pick six right there. Nick Foles trying to hit Ertz over the middle, and Eddie Jackson just reads it perfectly. Or even, Adrian Amos just knocking him out. As we saw him do to Diggs a few times, man. Diggs got lit up by him and Bush, I think like 3 or 4 times. I'd love to see them do that to Alshon. I fucking hate Alshon.
Yeah, he's been running his mouth too, talking about how much he loves Philadelphia over Chicago and all that. At first I was like, are you being serious, man? You're really gonna run your mouth? Whatever, it's fine. No, he left Chicago. We didn't pay him, and he went over there and he won a ring and everything. But that's gonna be a good matchup to see, like, him against our secondary, and because when I look at the film, he's kind of like their one of their big play guys. Nelson Aguilar is too, of course, right? But you see either him or Nelson Aguilar running deep, and we already know, that Alshon Jeffrey doesn't have a lot of speed, right? He just uses his size to get open, right, or to catch these contested jump balls. So it's going to be interesting to see his matchup. I don't expect him to have a big game, but he might, get like 4 or 5 catches for like 60 yards or something, but that's about it. I wouldn't expect him to go off, especially after, the Bears are welcoming him back. They know they're not, it's not like they're not thinking about him, they're like, oh, okay, matchup time, with this guy. So yeah, I'm not really worried about him.
Yeah, Alshon Jeffrey, he was saying where Chicago was just a place where he was for work.
Yeah.
He's been being a real bitch about it. Chicago was a place where he was the only season where he got 1,000 yards receiving with Jay Cutler. So he hasn't even sniffed 1,000 yards when he's been with the Eagles. Right now in the NFL, he's 9th for receivers for passer rating when targeted with 121.6. But his yards per route is 1.74, which is 30th in the NFL. He'll be going up against Kyle Fuller for most of the game, who right now his passer rating allowed is 66.6, which is 4th in the NFL. So that's going to be a great matchup to watch out for. Obviously, they were going up against each other for a couple of years in practice, so it's going to be interesting to see them go up against each other in a game again. But another thing that's going to be really key to watch out for is the Eagles have been running a committee at running back. Who'd they just get back? I think they got Wendell Smallwood back.
Yeah.
So they have him. Darren Sproles is Jay. Let me see. I don't think. No, is Jay Ajay? Is he healthy?
Oh, he's out. He's on IR.
Yeah, he is. So I mean, Darren Sproles, man, I'm pretty sure he's their number one. I might be mistaken.
I feel like he is too. Like when I saw like the tape the last 3 games, he's the guy that's doing all the big plays. You know, he's really like I was saying, like they've been running the ball these last few games really well, and that means like they're running the ball inside, they're running the ball outside, they're doing delayed handoffs, they're doing everything you can think of, and they're doing it good. You know, they've been really effective running the ball. So to me, the Bears have to stop that run from the Eagles. If they can stop the run from the Eagles and put them in these 3rd down and long situations, based on what I've seen from the tape for Nick Foles, I feel like he's almost like he's really good at the short game, you know, passing the ball in these short things. He gets the ball out quick, but if he has to like think about it and like make a decision and that kind of thing, then he can make some really poor decisions, man. Like he'll be careless with the ball. Like the Bears are going to pick him off. I guarantee you that. I promise you the Bears are going to have at least 1 interception in this game, probably more. I'm confident in that.
Yeah, a really interesting stat since you said he's been getting the ball out quickly. His average time to throw in the past 3 weeks is 2.23 seconds.
There you go.
And the Bears defense is giving up 23.5 points per game this year when QB gets rid of the ball in less than 2.5 seconds.
Wow.
But an even more interesting stat is the Bears are undefeated when teams score less than 24 points. They're 12-0 in those games. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I said when we first got Khalil Mack that quarterbacks have been successful in avoiding sacks when they get rid of the ball quickly. And that's really where the Raiders were losing a lot. But having Bryce Callahan out is really gonna hurt us. Not really, since we have Sherrick McManus, who's been playing well as of late. But Bryce Callahan would have been a great matchup against Golden Tate in the slot. Nelson Aguilar probably gonna go up against Prince and Mukamara. That may be interesting because Prince does like to play off a lot. So because he can't get beaten with speed, but I think Nelson Aguilar. With Nick Foles, I can see them going underneath a lot to try and avoid Khalil Mack. So something else with Nick Foles' ribs, I mean they might have to keep a running back there to try and protect Foles a little bit more. Maybe keep.
Well, I don't think there's any way that they don't use more than 5 to block our defensive line. I think if they do that, like. I'm looking forward to it. Like I think they have to have a tight end, they have to have a running back, they have to have someone to help out. And that's just not just for Khalil Mack. I mean, because our defense, even without Khalil Mack, is good, but he just makes them great. So I mean, I think that just trying to block with 5, they're not going to do that. Like if they do, my God, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy,
especially on long routes. If you want to do that with 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, okay, fine, I can see that happening. But you talk about 3rd down and 7, 3rd down and 10. There's no way, man.
Yeah, and then let me see. Khalil Mack, interesting stat from him was his pressure percentage was 2nd in the NFL with 15.5%. So him going up against Lane Johnson, who hasn't been doing that well in pass blocking according to PFF.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right now he's 40th in pass blocking efficiency with 96.4, and then his pass block grade is only 76.5, which is 25th. PFF, I mean, I don't really take their stats to heart, but for offensive line, since there's no real stats for offensive line other than sacks given up, which the NFL really doesn't put those stats out. So PFF's really the best site to really see those. So I think they're pretty accurate with grading offensive linemen. But quarterbacks, man, I don't know if you saw they had Mitch Trubisky, 31st, and they only had Lamar Jackson behind him at 32nd for their overall grades. So, I mean, that's why I say don't take it too much to heart. But
yeah.
Khalil Mack, as we said before, he's going to be going from the left to right. Leonard Floyd coming in. I can see Fangio right now dialing up some linebacker blitz with Roquan Smith and even Danny Trevathan. I was telling my friends that I can see Roquan Smith getting a big sack first play of the game, just rushing him. So
I can see it too. I mean, we're going to blitz, and they're going to be part of that blitz package. There's no doubt about it. I can see it happening too, because the way I just feel like the Eagles are going to block our defensive line, it's going to leave the opportunity for that to happen. So I'm not worried about their receiving core. Even Zach Ertz, I know he's great and all this, but I think the Bears have done really well against tight ends this year. Like, we've shut down Jimmy Graham. Like, he only had 2 catches in one game and 3 in the other. And the only tight end that gave us any problems was the 49ers, Kittle, who, by the way, for people who don't know, is also a Pro Bowl tight end this year, right? So he had 7 catches. But I don't know. I'm not really worried about him. Like, he'll make plays, right? He's going to catch the balls and stuff. But I just don't see how the Eagles are really going to be able to beat the Bears unless they are just like the divine team, or blessed in some way. I just don't see it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the air raid horn is going to help us out a lot too. But I mean, that's going to be just Bryce Callahan being out, as I said before, against Golden State, man. That's really the only matchup that kind of worries me. But other than that, I think our defense matches up very well against the Eagles. I don't think they have an advantage over us any part of the field. I mean, Eddie Goldman and Akeem Hicks inside against that interior line, I think we definitely have the upper hand. With Akeem Hicks possibly going up against Jason Kelsey at times. So, I mean, it's gonna be a good matchup. But I think the Bears can definitely take a big advantage of this. Do you want to do some score predictions?
Yeah, let's do that because I got to get ready to head on out. But I predicted that the Bears are going to win 24-13, and I think it'll be a close game for like the first half. Like a touchdown game, 3-point game, something like that. And then the Bears will break it open in the second half and win by like 10 points or so. I really feel like, in my opinion, that the Eagles will only score 1 touchdown in this game, if that. I think we're gonna shut them down. Like, the Bears haven't been giving up a lot of touchdowns, so I think they get 1 and a couple field goals, and the Bears win.
Yeah, I would have my score that I have is 34-10 Bears winning this one.
Yeah, I would love that.
I think they play really inspired, especially Khalil Mack after what Lane Johnson said after the last matchup that they had. So I think the Bears really go in this one to dominate and really put on notice that we're ready to make our run. Even that game, I mean, presumably we win. That game next week against the Rams, that could be really mostly a Bears fan filled stadium on a neutral location, basically.
Yeah,
I can see like 75% Bears fans there.
Easily. I already know that I'm on these Facebook pages from people here, and all these California fans, they're going, and I'm thinking I might go too. We'll see. Like, I found some tickets at it's crazy. You could buy a ticket right now at the 50-yard line up in the higher end of the seats for like $240. And to me, that's not unreasonable for you're talking about divisional playoff game, man, in the NFL. I'm like, okay, that's that's not too bad. So
yeah, that's one I would definitely love to go to. I would just have to see about flights. I was looking at tickets as well. They had some pretty good ones for like $350, lower like the 100 sections.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, on eBay I saw some really good ones. So, I mean, I'd love to go. I'd love to go to the Super Bowl, man, in Atlanta, bro. That would be crazy if the Bears went there. But do you have anything else to say about our matchup against the Eagles this week?
We covered it, man. I really think I'm pretty confident the Bears are going to win this game. Yeah, that's it, man. I'm confident they're going to win. It's the next matchups that are more concerning to me than this. This isn't concern me at all. Really, I feel like we got this, man. I don't want to eat my words later on, but like I just can't see how the Eagles can win, man, unless we just do everything wrong. That's the only way, right? Like if we just play a regular game, we'll win.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can still make a few mistakes and offensively, and our defense can bail us out.
This doesn't have to be a perfect game. It doesn't. But when we start playing like Rams and the Saints, that's when we need to start looking at like, the minimum amount of mistakes. But I think we can make a couple mistakes against Philadelphia and it'll not hurt us, as long as those mistakes aren't pick sixes or fumble recoveries for touchdowns and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can definitely dominate this game if we play like we did against the Vikings.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, bro. I really appreciate you having me on, man.
No problem. Thanks for being on again, and hopefully we'll be back next week for a divisional round.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Podcast. All right, man. Thanks for being on. And bear down, everyone.
Bear down.